Good evening and welcome to Reality Check. I am Sanket Upadhyay. The Prime Minister spoke today, his sixth address to the nation in the backdrop of COVID-19. As Unlock 2 begins tomorrow, there was an expectation from the Prime Minister that he will speak not just about Unlock, but also about China, given the tension that has been escalated with China, that China has escalated with India, the provocation along the border that China has escalated. But in his 17-minute address, which was his second shortest address in the 6 addresses that he has done, let's quickly put up those graphics also on the screen to show you that the address number 1 on 19th March was for 29 minutes. Address number 2 on the 24th of March was 29 minutes again. Address number 3 on the 2nd of April was for 12 minutes. So that was the shortest address. This, by the way, was the address where he urged everyone to light lamps, fight the darkness of coronavirus. On the 13th of April, the Prime Minister spoke for 25 minutes when he extended the lockdown till the 3rd of May. On the fifth address on the 12th of May was for 34 minutes when he announced a 20 lakh crore package to tackle the economic impact of COVID-19. And this 6th address, where he has announced an extension of free food grain scheme for 5 more months, is for 17 long minutes. What was missing, of course, nothing wrong in the announcement that he has made. In fact, it's a very, very significant announcement. It will cost the exchequer 1.5 lakh crores and will impact 80 crore lives. That's how significant it is. But there was something else which was significant that was not spoken about. Joining me right now is Professor Rakesh Sinha, Bharatiya Janata Party MP. Professor Sinha, thank you so much for speaking to NDTV. It is not wrong to have an expectation, especially in light of the situation that we are in with China, to expect that the Prime Minister will speak about it. However, he chose radio silence. Why do you think and how do you think that is going to go with people?
You know, in Man Ki Baat, he has already said about China. And for the Prime Minister of India, these 80 crore people who constitute the majority of the Indian population, and they are the poor and marginalized, they are very important because it is the second lockdown phase. And the Prime Minister has rightly pointed out that in the second phase, when we are approaching the season and also the many festivals, these poor should not be sufferer. This pandemic has affected each and every section of society, but the most affected are the poor people. Therefore, he extended that scheme, which was confined to the 3 months. That was very important and significant for a Prime Minister who, from the beginning, when he came into power in 2014, he started programs for the social protection. You know, the housing, health and sanitation. These three things are in priority of the government of India and Modi.
Professor Sinha, fair enough. As I said at the very beginning, I'm not belittling the announcement that has been made because this is an extremely significant announcement. In fact, there are many like Yogendra Yadav and Nikhil Dey who say that there should have been universalization of the PDS system where everybody should have been given free grains instead of just the ration card holders. But the point is, this is a significant announcement. There was something else also which was equally significant. That is China. Do you think by not speaking about it, the Prime Minister has chosen strategic silence, or is he being politically evasive?
You know, every word of the Prime Minister matters. Whatever he speaks, that matters in diplomacy, that matters in the defense, that matters in dialogue, that matters in conflict. Therefore, Prime Minister would choose to speak when it is most essential for him to speak.
Is it not essential for the nation to hear the Prime Minister on the issue of China?
You know, it is action which is speaking. Just before a day, 59 apps have been banned. And the Prime Minister has repeatedly said, local and vocal. The message is very clear. Prime Minister can't take name of a particular country. But when he says local and vocal,
no,
you know,
why not? Professor Sinha, when there is, see, obviously then in that case you admit that there is a difference. You have to deal with different countries differently, because when he has to speak about Pakistan, I don't think that the Prime Minister ever has any inhibition in taking the name of Pakistan. It's an enemy country.
No, it is not a question of making a difference between Pakistan and China. And we all assume and consider and we find that China is the biggest enemy of India. And in that concern, Prime Minister has already said 20 martyrs, their blood would not go in vain. This is the word of Prime Minister. I know Narendra Modi ji, whatever he speaks, he comes into action. There is no difference between his words and action. That the entire world knows this. And you know that here China is being isolated all over the country, all over the world. It is exclusion. China is facing exclusion.
Okay.
India is acceptance.
Let me ask you this question, Professor Sinha, and this is going to be significant because all through the day a lot of people have spoken about this. You've banned those apps in the back of what is happening, allegations of China spying using these apps, data theft, our so equation with China as of this moment, understandable, right? But should we stop here or should this be the first step? Because there are many other things that China is doing in the digital space.
You know, the government of India has a perspective plan for China, and we are for making forward move in that direction. And it is both the support of the people as well as the government's action. You see, the spontaneous support of the people is coming after 96.
I agree, Professor Sinha, but you know, see, these apps are just the tip of the iceberg. Speak to any expert and they'll tell you that this is the tip of the iceberg. The real problem in terms of data theft, if that is what you are going after, is Huawei. Now that has been allowed.
No,
they are giving their trials for 5G.
You know, when we are taking steps, we are thinking our own safety, our own condition. We won't do anything which will be disastrous for ourselves.
But will Huawei be kept out of the process of 5G?
No, we are doing everything to benefit us, not to damage us. Our plan is to cripple China. We are doing that. You know how Global Times is reacting on a banning of the 59 apps.
Correct, but if data theft is something, if data theft is a concern, Huawei has direct links with the PLA, established the world over, write-up after write-up talks about this. Will there be action against Huawei? Because, you know, I can only think of that as the next logical step in this chronology.
We have very strict measures and laws to protect our data. Nobody can do anything in our data.
Then what was the need to ban TikTok? These laws could have helped you there also.
According to the situation, the government of India will take a step, but this is a very sensitive measure because we are at the juncture where dialogue, diplomacy, everything is working simultaneously. So we should wait how government is more closer to realities of the defense policies and the diplomacy. So anything, our comment, particularly a member of parliament's comment may be derailing. So we should avoid commenting anything. We all are nationalists, and we have to protect our sovereignty. We have to protect our territory. We have to honor the martyrs' sacrifices.
I agree, Professor Sinha, but you've you've wriggled out of my question on Huawei because, you know, a natural expectation will be that if data theft is what you're going after, the next logical step is Huawei. Will the government take a decision on those lines or not? Because that will be a huge message to China if the government wants to walk the talk. But thank you so much, Professor Sinha, for joining us on the Prime Minister's speech.